Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Man, we got a jam-packed show today. We're going to give a couple of coaches a couple of minutes to get started, or to hop in, and then we're going to jump right into the show. Waiting on the coaches to tap in. We're going to get started. We got a jam-packed show today. Man, we're going to tap into the PHFL power rankings. We're going to get into coach's speech. We're going to get into, we're going to get into our PHFL power rankings. We got coach's speech. So this is a new segment that we've added in. So we're going to get into coach's speech also, kind of hear from some of the coaches. We're going to get into our PHFL Power 5. We're also going to get into our Super Bowl odds. Again, those odds have definitely been updated over the last couple of weeks. So we want to make sure that, again, we update the PHFL power rankings. However, before we start, let's get the administrative functions and the administrative duties out of the way. There's been a lot of issues that have popped up regarding play clock. So this is from the commissioner's desk. So we have a PHFL rule change that the ball can't be snapped under 10 seconds on the play clock more than 3 times per drive. So again, we're going to allow the coaches to coach. However, again, we only have 7 minutes per quarter. So again, it just doesn't make sense to literally just hold a ball for the entire quarter. So again, we had this rule previously. So I think, again, it's something that needed to be documented. So that way we can make sure that we are all on the same page. So again, PFL rule change. This will go into effect week 15. The ball can't be snapped under 10 seconds on the play clock more than 3 times per drive. And then, of course, this will not be enforced while running no huddle or hurry up offense. Again, this will take effect week 15. So that way, again, this literally popped up from the LA Chargers versus the Atlanta Falcons. Boy, those coaches had to be separated on the sidelines. And again, it was an extremely good game. But again, this came up from that ball game. And so, again, the league office felt like it needed to put something official out. And right now, again, we have that official stance from the commissioner's office. So let's now get into our PHFL power rankings. And again, we have combined this from week 13. Actually, you know what? Let's do this. Let's actually go into some of the scores from week 13, and then we'll go into our power rankings, and then go into some of the other segments that we currently have. So again, just kind of looking at our ball games from week number 13 and week number 14. And what we're going to do first is, again, just go in and look at week number 13. There was some very interesting games in week number 13. The Cleveland Browns knocked off the Denver Broncos 30-16, hindering their playoff chances and improving their chances in the AFC North Division. And again, one of the biggest ball games of the season, the Atlanta Falcons. I don't want to say dominated, because they really didn't dominate, because it was a close ball game. I believe it was 34-20, 34-27, I believe, with maybe 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. I want to say the Chargers, as far as time of possession, the Falcons held the ball literally for almost, out of the 28 minutes, they may have held the ball 20 minutes. But again, the Falcons moved on to 10-2 on the season, knocking off the Chargers 41-27. And right now, you'll be hard pressed to find a team playing better than the Atlanta Falcons. Again, Michael Penix, and we'll get into his progression in the belief in the building with Michael Penix in the Atlanta Falcons. But again, Michael Penix 10 for 16, 243 yards, 2 touchdowns. Trey Lance, again, 30. I'm not sure whether or not 35 attempts for a backup quarterback, kind of made sense. But again, Trey Lance, 20 for 35, 282 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions in the loss. But again, the Atlanta Falcons, moved to 10-2 on the season. Again, it'll be hard pressed for you to find any team that's playing better right now than the Atlanta Falcons. The Arizona Cardinals defeated the Minnesota Vikings 38-34. The surging New York Giants knocked off the Dallas Cowboys 44-27. The Commanders got a victory over the Titans. The Kansas City Chiefs rebounded from their loss to the Buffalo Bills. Again, they crushed the Carolina Panthers, and now they're winners of 2 straight. Got their revenge against the Las Vegas Raiders in a higher scoring game, 51-39. The Green Bay Packers, again, in their pursuit of perfection, knocked off the Dolphins 49-25. The Carolina Panthers, in a great game, escaped the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 31-30. The Jaguars knocked off the Texans. The Bengals knocked off the Steelers. The Patriots knocked off the Colts, and the Rams edged the Saints, and the Lions defeated the Bears. The Eagles dominated the Ravens 55-28. The Jets, this was a very, very good game, and we'll take a look at the box scores between the Panthers and the Bucks. This was a good game. I mean, Coach Whoop is going to give any team a battle, for their money. Again, forced 5 turnovers with arguably the best secondary in the PHFL. Justin Fields, in his return, 16 for 24, 454 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 4 picks. Jalen Milroe, 29 for 52, 470 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. And Kenneth Walker, 23 for 153. Again, just a back and forth contest with these 2 teams. And again, the Jets, again, they only have 1 loss in the season. So again, the Jets are a team right now that, again, has to be considered one of the favorites in the PHFL. And the Bucks, again, just a team that unfortunately just can't catch a break. I mean, I don't want to say they dominated the game, but they pretty much kind of had their way in the ball game. Committed 2 turnovers, and the Panthers, they're 11-2, found a way to win 31-30 over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Bryce Young, again, not a high completion, but 17 for 29. 280 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Jonathan Brooks, 20 for 66 as far as rushing. So again, nothing extremely stellar. Baker Mayfield, 14 for 22, 186, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Dylan Sampson, 13 for 118. Again, just a great back and forth matchup between these two NFC rival teams. And we'll tap into week 14 action again. But let's go into our PHFL Power 5 segment. And right now, again, there was some definite changes in the PHFL Power 5, or really Power 8. But the New York Jets are still right now number one in the power rankings, followed by the Green Bay Packers, undefeated, at number 2. The Buffalo Bills coming in at number 3. And the biggest leap in the power ranking is your Atlanta Falcons. Again, outside of the Buffalo Bills, it'll be hard pressed for you to find a team right now that is playing better than the Atlanta Falcons at number 4. There's literally a strong belief in the Atlanta Falcons and in that locker room. And we caught up with Coach BG and wanted to get kind of his overview of Michael Penix, and here was Coach BG again giving us kind of an overview of Michael Penix.
Michael Penix is our quarterback, and Michael Penix will continue to be our quarterback. We stood there last year and we talked about looking for that guy, and we believe we found him. And I got so much confidence in Michael Penix leading us into the future, and I believe our whole building does, and I believe our fan base does, and I believe our owner does.
So again, a lot of belief from Michael Penix with Coach BG. Again, definitely making headway as far as a rookie quarterback. And again, you definitely got to give Penix his credit. The Falcons right now again are 11-2. And they're number 4 in the PHFL power rankings, followed by the Kansas City Chiefs at number 5. Give me a second here. Why do we have? Is that? Okay. The the Kansas City Chiefs are number 5. The Chargers are number 6. The Carolina Panthers are number 7, and number 8 is your, let me update this real quick in real time. Again, and this is probably, kind of controversial, but I think the big thing is, talking about your Detroit Lions, and can the Lions win a big game. So your number 8 team in the power ranking is your Dallas Cowboys. So they're coming in at number 8. The Lions, they dropped out of the power ranking. And the big question for the Lions is, can they win a big game? They had, again, a grudge match against the Green Bay Packers. And they came up on the short end of the stick against the Green Bay Packers, and we caught up, with Coach Deasy after the ball game, and we wanted to find out again, what was it, what was the issue, why couldn't you win this game? What was it, that Green Bay provided, at least from a offensive perspective and maybe even a defensive, perspective as well, that caused you a lot of trouble?
Goff agreed with Campbell. He said they did what they wanted in the first half, but felt like they just shot themselves in the foot throughout the second half.
So again, shot themselves in the foot. But right now, let's get to Deasy, and let's get to what he talked about as far as in his postgame.
Again, I mean, defensively, we're going to improve, and we did improve in small areas. But I put this on our offense. Offensively, we have to be able to outscore a team like this. That's just how I see it. Because why? Because it turned in that type of game again. That's why. And so, to me, the onus is on your offense.
So again, the onus is on the offense. And breaking news, again, we just got something, earlier in the day at the PHFL, front desk as far as the media is concerned. And the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions have been relieved of their duties. So the Lions have fired both the offensive and defensive coordinators. And, this is coming out of Detroit. And what they pretty much said is, hey, we're looking for more consistency on the offense. In the big games, there was a collective feeling in the clubhouse that the opponents knew that what plays were coming. So, again, they have been pretty much running the same offense for a number of years. So they're switching to a younger offensive coordinator with a more fresh, offensive approach. And defensively, what Coach Deasy states is we've been a little bit too passive, and we have to be a little bit more aggressive. Now, again, there's a lot of skepticism that came about regarding the coaches. Those coaches changed with the offensive and defensive coordinators both losing their jobs, and the question has to be asked: is it too little, too late? Can a leopard change their stripes? I'm not 100% sure. But again, looking at the Lions' upcoming schedule, let's take a look at it to really see, whether or not it makes sense. Because again, it's easy when, maybe the tread is a little bit light. However, there's not a lot of heavy terrain that's upcoming as far as opponents is concerned. So it may be easier to make that change now versus, again, when you have a couple of heavy hitters, that are upcoming. So let's take a look at their upcoming schedule to see. They have the Buffalo Bills next. Then they have San Francisco, and they got Minnesota. You're making a offensive and defensive coordinator change, a philosophical adjustment to your game plan against arguably the best team right now in the PHFL, in the Buffalo Bills, who just dropped 70 points on the LA Rams, led by a MVP candidate that right now he's thrown 9 touchdowns in the last game. And looking at Josh Allen and looking at the just looking at them, let's look at Josh Allen's game log. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that makes sense to make this change now. Again, looking at who you're facing, you got Coach Ballin, and Coach Ballin always says, listen, playoff Ballin, playoff Coach Ballin is a totally different animal, almost a la playoff Jimmy, playoff Jamal Murray in a different sport. Josh Allen has 53 touchdowns, second or third behind Jordan Love and Patty. He only has 15 interceptions. He's right now at an elite level. So again, this will be a very, very interesting game. As far as again, does it make sense to make that type of change? Again, going up against this team, I'm not sure. Right now, the betting odds have the Bills as a 5-point favorite against the Detroit Lions. I just don't know whether or not the Lions have enough to stop, And again, it's not like that the Bills just have all of these weapons on the outside, but they have somebody in Josh Allen that right now is just playing at an elite level. And I'm just not sure if the Detroit Lions have enough to slow down the Buffalo Bills. This will be a very, very good game. Coming in again at number 9, again, that's the question, is can they win a big game? And then the Minnesota Vikings, there was a lot of, again, I don't know what's going on in the sidelines with, our coaches, but they had to be separated. The the coach of the Minnesota Vikings and the Atlanta Falcons, Raheem or BG Morris, and again the PHFL right now, getting into the end of the season, its playoff positioning right now is uber important. Again, the game had to be halted, and Atlanta wind up, pulling out the victory. But there was a lot of animosity on the sidelines between Ball and O'Connell and BG Morris. That again, the coaches had to be separated. They had to call security on the field. And again, one of the things that Coach Ballin, again, has this, this belief in is, if I get into the playoffs, we're going to make some noise. It's just as simple as that. We beat ourselves. Nobody can beat us. Again, I'm not sure about that. Again, that was a really competitive game. Would have loved to have seen it if it had played out just according to the way that it was going. It was 17-13 Falcons. So again, would have loved to have seen it, prior to the updated rule change. But again, Minnesota is coming in at number 10 in the PHFL power ranking. And before we get into our Super Bowl odds, again, let's just look at playoff positioning. Again, we're coming down the home stretch. There's only 4 games left in the season, and right now your number 1 seeds are your New York Jets at 12-1 and the undefeated Green Bay Packers at 13-0. Right now, if the playoffs ended today, Kansas City would face the Miami Dolphins. Again, Kansas City will be a prohibited favorite over the Dolphins. The Jaguars would face the LA Chargers. Again, if Justin Herbert is in there, then you definitely would have to give the Chargers the edge, even though they'll be on the road. And then the Buffalo Bills, again, an 11-2 wild card. It just shows you how uber competitive the PHFL specifically, even in the NFC as well, but just uber competitive the PHFL is. An 11-win team will be a 5th seed in a wild card, and they will go against the Baltimore Ravens. I believe they played earlier in the season. So again, the Bills would definitely be a favorite. Looking at the NFC right now, the Green Bay Packers would be the number 1 seed. So again, if the playoffs ended today, Carolina would face the Eagles. They just matched up previously with the Panthers, pulling out the victory. The Cowboys would face the Lions in a rematch. So again, that would be a very interesting game. Again, 10-3 Dallas against 10-3 Detroit. And then the San Francisco 49ers right now at an abysmal 5-7 would face off against the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons would be, I don't want to say a prohibited favorite. They'll definitely be favorite, but that would be a game that I would be relatively concerned about if I was a Falcons fan, just because of the uber talent that San Francisco has currently on their roster. And then again, looking at the rest of the playoff picture as far as the wild cards is concerned, the Miami Dolphins right now have a 1-game lead, or really a half a game lead over the Cleveland Browns. But right now, Cleveland will be 7-6, and they'll be tied for first place in the AFC North. So again, they could literally move into that 4th space. So it could be the Browns, facing off against the Buffalo Bills. And then the Dolphins right now are at 7-6. The Broncos are at 6-7, and the Raiders are at 5-8, still with an outside shot at that 7th and final seed. And then looking at the NFC, again, it's going to be a dogfight till the end between the Giants, Minnesota, and the Eagles for that final wild card spot. So again, plenty of football remaining in the season. And again, just looking at week 14 action, again, the biggest game was Green Bay. Green Bay just has Detroit number. It's no other way around it. No 2 cents that you need to add to it. Green Bay right now, they just have real estate in Detroit. And again, there was some heated action, that was on the sidelines, prior to the game, between the Green Bay Packers and the fans in Green Bay, with Coach McClure. So again, we don't know specifically what happened, However, we do have at least, again, some video or some audio footage of, again, what happened on the sidelines, between, those two guys. And again, let's get to it to actually see, specifically, what happened, what happened, during that exchange.
Oh, whoa, hold on. Who are you talking to like that?
That's a fan who was like rolling out the
look at
one
those- look at
pride.
Coach Spot is in the middle of the field, ready to fight a fan.
Spicy, real spicy. It's gonna get hot sauce spicy.
All right, I'm going Packers now. Matt LaFleur's fired up.
He changed you.
And Coach Spot, I think he went to the locker room.
Listen, if you're the fans, I get it. It's all good and it's all fun and games.
Oh,
But
still going.
yeah, Matt LaFleur's not playing. He's serious. I like it.
And I think that right there, that sideline interaction was the difference in firing up the Green Bay Packers. And again, they came out with the 38-36 victory over the Detroit Lions. So again, I'm just not sure if there's anything that the Lions will be able to do to overcome the Green Bay Packers. I believe right now it's more mental. And again, they just have their number. And now transitioning to the Super Bowl odds in the PHFL, we kind of shortened our list. We had, I believe, a top 7. Now we got it shrunk down to a top 5. Right now, the committee again is and the Chiefs beat the Falcons easily. Okay, I mean that's what the Chief fans are saying in our chat. But right now, here is our PHFL Bowl odds. Right now, these are the only 5 teams that right now, just talking today, that realistically can win a PHFL championship. Starting with the Buffalo Bills, right now they're the favorites, slight favorites over the New York Jets at 2-1. The Jets are coming in as the second in the PHFL Bowl odds at 3-1. The Green Bay Packers right now coming in at 4-1. They're 13-0, undefeated. Again, probably a good argument that they should be higher. But I think, again, just a matter of who they've, defeated on the season, even though they knocked off everyone. I think just the competitive nature of the Jets schedule and then Buffalo just give them a slight edge over the Packers. Kansas City, again, when you got Patrick Mahomes and just the offensive talent and the offensive wizardry that Coach Twitch has under, his tutelage with Patrick Mahomes, again, they always are a threat, are coming in at number 4. And right now, your Atlanta Falcons, the way they're playing right now at 11-2, again, just knocking off the Minnesota Vikings. They also knocked off the Chargers and the Dallas Cowboys. Again, 3 playoff teams, at least 2 out of the 3 in Minnesota right now are in playoff contention. The Atlanta Falcons right now has to be a team right now that has, Super Bowl or PHFL Bowl aspirations, coming in at number 5. And the teams that we left out, again, of the PHFL Bowl odds is I think the Carolina Panthers. Again, they're a good story. Definitely have played some good, solid football. But when they match up against, again, the better teams in the PHFL, I just don't think they're going to have enough talent. Maybe in a couple of drafts or so that the Panthers can be able to match up against the better teams. But again, we will see, though, because they got another matchup against the Falcons, and they did beat the Falcons earlier in the season. But again, that was Michael Penix trying to figure out, his skis and figure out, what was expected from him, as a brand new quarterback. So again, if they knock off the Falcons later on in the season, then we definitely will go in and reevaluate those odds. But we just find it hard to believe that they will be able to knock off Atlanta. They'll be able to knock off Green Bay. They'll be able to knock off Detroit in the NFC. And then the aforementioned Lions, again, they haven't won a big game. Looking at the Lions schedule, and again, as a result, they fired both their offensive and defensive coordinator. So you have to look at that and say, man, you know what? Is that going to provide kind of a boost for the Lions, or is that going to be just kind of that final nail in the coffin? And again, looking at their schedule, I guess Minnesota would be their only quality win, and probably at the time you got to give Jacksonville because they were in the power ranking. But again, looking at, they lost to Dallas, they lost to Green Bay twice. Again, if they lose to Buffalo, I'm not sure whether or not you can give them, any type of hope of winning the PHFL Bowl. Now, if they knock off the Bills, all bets are off, and you definitely have to look at them as a viable Super Bowl contender if they were able to knock off right now the team that PHFL Vegas has as the best odds to win the PHFL Bowl. So again, just a lot of just a lot of kind of movement in the PHFL. So again, let's just kind of go through and recap what we talked about throughout today's show. We'll get back to our highlights during next week. But again, we did get some coaches' speech. Rule change. Again, remember our rule change. Again, effective week 15, the ball can't be snapped under 10 seconds on the play clock more than 3 times per drive. So again, coaches coach. Just make sure, again, you adjust your game plans accordingly. And again, of course, this doesn't impact when you're running no huddle or when you're running a hurry up offense. And again, this is going to be effective week number 15. Again, we went through our PHFL Power 5, or Power 8 rather, with the Jets being number 1, Green Bay number 2, Buffalo number 3. The Atlanta Falcons made, again, the biggest jump just based off of their last 3 games. Again, just some good quality wins are number 4, Kansas City 5, the Chargers are 6, Carolina 7th, and the Cowboys are 8th, followed by the Detroit Lions, and then the Minnesota Vikings, again, are kind of that, that team that has the question behind it. And the question for the Vikings is, can they make some playoff noise? Again, we heard coach speech. Again, we heard from, Coach Deasy, again, who, he's fired his, his offensive and, defensive coordinator. I'm not sure. Again, just from a, probably from a strategic perspective, especially with, again, what games you have kind of upcoming in the season. So I'm not sure whether or not that kind of made sense. But again, let's listen to Coach Deasy again as he kind of, talked about this tough, difficult loss to the Green Bay Packers.
For me, I put this there again. Defensively, we're going to improve, and we did improve in small areas. But I put this on our offense. Offensively, we have to be able to outscore a team like this. That's just how I see it. Because why? Because it turned in that type of game again. That's why. And so, to me, the onus is on your offense.
So again, as he mentioned, he said the onus is on the offense when you're facing a coach spot team. You got to put up some points. And again, 36 was enough. But again, how many missed opportunities were there, in that ball game that maybe could have stemmed the tide and then allow the Detroit to be able, to pull out that last second, that last minute victory. And then again, of course, we went through our PHFL Bowl odds. And right now, again, we only have 5 teams right now that we feel comfortable that were able to hoist the PHFL trophy. And again, that is your Buffalo Bills coming in at number 1, your New York Jets at number 2, your Green Bay Packers at number 3, your Kansas City Chiefs at number 4, and your Green Bay Packers at number 5. Finally, looking at week number 15 in the PHFL before we wrap up today's show. Again, some very, very interesting games coming up. Again, Atlanta looking to go to 12-2 on the season. Again, they do have an outside shot at that number 1 seed. San Francisco and the Rams. Again, the Rams are only a half game out of the division lead, so a victory over the Niners could definitely, provide them with an opportunity to, take position of first place in the NFC West. Green Bay in Seattle. Green Bay is going to put up. Seattle's going to put up some points. Green Bay is definitely going to be the favorite. You definitely have to look at that and cast them as the favorite. But Seattle is going to put some points up. They're going to play a in-your-face man defense. They're probably going to get a couple of turnovers. However, we have to look at Green Bay as the favorite. But Seattle's going to give them all that they want. Another interesting game is going to be the Chargers against Tampa Bay. I don't think Justin Herbert is back yet. Tampa Bay is just an enigma. They had the game over the Raiders and wind up losing it. They had the game over the Panthers and wind up losing it. So again, this is a game that I just got a sneaky suspicion. And everybody knows in the PHFL that, again, I'm not a Coach Woe fan. Can't stand Coach Woe. However, again, I got a sneaky suspicion that he's going to pull out the victory. And then you have the Carolina Panthers against the Dallas Cowboys. So that is your boy, the old ball coach, again, with a lot of our PHFL action for the week. Again, definitely appreciate all the tuners and everybody who's chiming in and everybody that's in the chat. This is your boy, the old ball coach, signing out from our beautiful studios right outside of Washington, D.C. Let's kick off week 15. Coach Schiff, hit the button.